friends. This is Doug Ballinger, and you're listening to Logan's Voice. I'm Logan's dad, and this podcast is my way of carrying his story forward. Not just the pain of losing him to fentanyl poisoning, but the love, the laughter, and the lessons that he left behind. If you've experienced a loss like mine, you know there are days when grief feels like a weight you just can't possibly carry. It can be hard to imagine feeling anything other than sadness, anger, or emptiness. But here's something I've learned along the way. Moments of joy and gratitude aren't just possible in grief, they can actually be a lifeline. Today, we're talking about joy and gratitude not as signs that you've moved on or gotten over the loss, because, let's be honest, you never do. Instead, we're talking about them as acts of resistance. When we choose to find joy, when we choose to recognize what we're thankful for, we're saying to the tragedy, "You did not take everything from me." We're honoring our loved ones with continuing to live fully ourselves. I'll share a personal example. Not long after Logan passed, I was sitting in the yard one evening just staring at the sky. A song came on, one of his favorites, and for a few minutes, instead of crying, I found myself smiling. Smiling because I could still hear him singing along. Smiling because that memory was mine to keep. And in that moment, I realized that joy and grief can sit in the same space without canceling each other out. That's what we're going to explore today. How joy and gratitude can walk beside us in the shadow of loss, and how embracing them doesn't mean we've forgotten. It means we've remembered differently. One of the biggest myths about grief is this: if you're laughing, smiling, and enjoying life, it must mean you've moved on. Or worse, that you've forgotten the person you lost. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this unspoken rule play out in my own life and in the lives of other grieving parents. We get caught in this feeling that if we show joy, it might look like we're okay now, or that the loss doesn't hurt anymore. But here's the truth. Grief and joy are not opposites. They're companions. They can live in the same room at the same time. You can be laughing with friends one moment and crying in the car on the way home. You can be deeply thankful for something in your life while you still feel the ache of what's missing. It's not one or the other, it's both. I remember the first time I laughed, really laughed after Logan died. It was unexpected, and honestly, I felt guilty for it. Like somehow I was betraying him by letting myself enjoy that moment. But I realized later that moment didn't take away from my grief. It didn't erase the pain. It was just a reminder that my heart still knew how to feel more than sorrow. And that was a good thing. The myth says joy is a sign that the loss is behind you. The reality is joy is a sign that you're still human, still capable of feeling the full range of life, even when your world has been shattered. And sometimes other people will misunderstand. They might see a photo of you smiling at a family event and think you've healed. But healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before. It means learning how to live in the after while carrying both the love and the loss. Joy is not forgetting. Joy is remembering the good and letting it lift you, even only for a moment. So, if you've ever caught yourself pulling back from laughter, from fun, from moments of happiness because you thought you shouldn't feel that way after loss, I want you to know this. It's okay. You have permission to feel it all. You can cry and laugh in the same day, in the same hour, even in the same breath. That's not disrespect. That's the reality of living with loss. When I say joy is a form of resistance, I mean that it's an active choice, a way of standing up to the weight of loss and saying, "You will not take everything from me." Grief has a way of trying to shrink your world. It tells you not to go places because they might remind you of your loved one. It convinces you to avoid people because you don't want to face their questions or their pity. It whispers that it's safer not to feel too much because if you open the door to joy, You might open the door to pain too. Choosing joy is a way of pushing back against that. It's refusing to let the tragedy steal your ability to smile, to laugh, to create new memories. I'll give you an example. There was a day when I found myself standing in the kitchen cooking a dish that Logan loved. Not because it was a holiday or a special occasion, but because I just wanted to. I played his favorite music while I cooked, and somewhere between the chopping and the stirring, I felt joy creeping in. Not because the loss was gone, but because the love was still here. That moment was mine, and choosing to hold on to it felt like planting a flag. I can still feel this. Joy also honors our loved one in a way that sadness never alone could. I know Logan wouldn't want me to be sad the rest of my life. He'd want me to laugh, to live, to find reasons to be glad I'm still here. And when I choose joy, I'm not turning away from him. I'm actually turning toward the life he would want for me. Now, joy doesn't always come in grand, sweeping moments. Sometimes it's small. A walk outside when the air smells just right. A text from a friend that makes you smile. The way the sun comes through the window in the morning. Choosing to notice those moments, to lean into them, is how joy becomes an act of resistance. So here's the truth. Grief will always be a part of me, but so will joy. And every time I choose to let joy have its moment, I'm proving that loss didn't take my whole heart. It took part of it, yes, but it didn't take the part that still knows how to love, laugh, and live. If joy is resistance, then gratitude is the anchor. It's what keeps you steady when the waves of grief are high. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain, and it doesn't mean you're glad for what happened. Let's be clear about that. Gratitude simply shifts your focus. It reminds you of what you still have and what you've been given and of what remains, even in the middle of loss. After Logan passed, gratitude was not my first instinct. I didn't feel thankful. I felt broken. But over time, I realized I could be grateful for moments even in my pain. I could be grateful for the 32 years I had with my son, even though I wanted more. I could be grateful for the people who stepped up when I was too tired to fight. I could be grateful for the way Logan's smile still lights up my mind when I think of him. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means noticing what is still good, even when everything isn't. It could be simple as writing down 3 things you're thankful for at the end of each day. A phone call from someone who gets it. The sound of rain at night. A memory that makes you smile through tears. Sometimes gratitude is about the tiniest details. I remember one particularly hard day. I sat on the porch and just listened to the wind in the trees. It sounds so small, but I remember thinking, in this moment, I can breathe. In this moment, I'm okay. That was enough. I've also learned that gratitude works like a muscle. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes to spot the small blessings in the middle of a hard season. And those small blessings, stacked up over time, can make the unbearable just a little more bearable. And here's where gratitude and grief connect. Gratitude honors the love. It says, I miss you, but I'm thankful you were mine. It allows you to remember without only feeling the ache. And some days, that shift from only pain to a mix of pain and thankfulness can be enough to keep you going. When we talk about joy and gratitude separately, they each have their own power. But when you blend them together, something really special happens. They start to feed off of each other. Gratitude helps you see the good that's already in your life. Joy helps you actually feel it. And together, they can transform the way you carry your grief. I'll share an example. A while back, I was going through a box of Logan's things. If you've done this, you know how that can go. You start out strong, But then the memories start flooding in. And before you know it, you're back in the deep end of grief. But that day, I found this little note he had written me years ago. It was just a quick, "Love you, Dad," scribbled on a piece of paper, but in his handwriting. First, I felt gratitude. Gratitude that I'd kept it. Gratitude that I could still hold something his hands had touched. And right on the heels of that gratitude came joy. Joy in remembering the moment he gave it to me. Joy in knowing that those words were real and true. Both feelings showed up in the same heartbeat. When joy and gratitude work together, they don't cancel out the sadness. They soften it. They give you a cushion to land on. They give you moments that feel warm and alive, even in the cold reality of loss. And here's something else. Practicing them together builds resilience. You start noticing more of those moments where the two overlap. Maybe it's during a family dinner when everyone's laughing and you feel thankful for the people still around your table. Maybe it's on a quiet walk when you notice the beauty of the world and feel grateful you're here to see it. These moments aren't about pretending you're over it. They're about living in a way that says, "My love is bigger than my loss." It's about choosing to let that love keep shaping your life in ways that bring light even into the shadow. As we wrap up today, I want you to hear this clearly. Joy and gratitude are not replacements for grief. They are companions to it. They are ways of remembering your loved one differently, with light as well as shadow. Grief will always have a place in your life because love will always have a place in your life. But joy and gratitude can live right alongside it. And when you've given them room, you're not letting go of your loved one. You're carrying them with you into the moments that still matter. So here's my challenge for this week. Name one thing you're grateful for today. It can be big or small, from a warm cup of coffee to a cherished memory. Create one moment of joy on purpose. Maybe that's calling a friend, taking a walk in your favorite spot, listening to a song that lifts you up, or even cooking a dish your loved one enjoyed. And if in that moment you find yourself feeling both joy and sorrow, let that be okay. It just means you're human. It just means your heart is still alive and capable of feeling it all. For me, choosing joy and practicing gratitude are ways of honoring Logan. They're ways of saying your life still matters and it still shapes mine. And I believe your loved one would want that for you too. For you to keep living, keep loving, and keep noticing the beauty that still exists in this world. Thank you for listening to Logan's Voice. If this episode touched you, I'd be honored if you'd share it with someone else who might need to hear this message. And if you want to connect, find me on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Doug Ballinger. I'm Logan's dad, reminding you that joy and gratitude are not signs you've forgotten. They're proof that love is still alive in you. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent.